Maggie Lena Walker stands as one of the most remarkable, yet overlooked, figures in American history. She was the first Black woman to charter a bank and serve as its president in the United States. A visionary financial leader who transformed banking into a tool for survival, empowerment, and resistance. At a time when Black Americans were systematically excluded from white-controlled financial institutions, Maggie Walker built her own systems, proving that economic power could be forged even in the heart of segregation. Her story begins on July 15, 1864, in Richmond, Virginia, during the final year of the Civil War. Born Maggie Lena Draper, she entered a nation in transition, but not inequality. Her mother, Elizabeth Draper, had been enslaved, and Maggie grew up in the shadow of slavery's brutal legacy. Her early childhood was shaped by poverty, racial violence, and social instability conditions that affected nearly every formerly enslaved family during Reconstruction. Life was fragile. Maggie's stepfather worked as a butler, and the family relied on modest wages to survive. Illness, job loss, or sudden death could instantly destroy a household. Maggie witnessed these realities firsthand, learning early on that financial insecurity wasn't just an inconvenience. It was a constant threat to survival. These experiences would deeply influence her core belief that economic independence was essential for true freedom. Despite the limited resources available to her, Maggie excelled academically. She attended Richmond's public schools for Black children and later graduated from the Armstrong Normal School, where she trained to be a teacher. At the time, education was one of the few respectable professions open to Black women, and Walker initially followed that path. However, she quickly realized that education alone could not overcome systemic economic exclusion. Walker understood something revolutionary for her time. Without control over money, any progress would always be temporary. She believed that economic power was the foundation upon which all social and political rights rested. This conviction would define her life's work. Her path took a dramatic turn when she joined the Independent Order of St. Luke, a Black fraternal organization that provided insurance, burial benefits, and mutual aid. In an era when white institutions refused to help, these organizations were lifelines for Black communities. Walker joined the group as a teenager and immediately demonstrated extraordinary leadership ability, organizational discipline, and strategic intelligence. By 1899, Walker was elected Grand Secretary of the Independent Order of St. Luke. At the time, the organization was failing financially and was on the brink of collapse. Many believed it could not be saved, but Walker saw an opportunity where others saw ruin. She completely reorganized its finances, enforced strict accountability, expanded its membership, and modernized its operations. Under her leadership, the order didn't just survive. It grew into a national force with over 100,000 members across multiple states. Walker used the order not just as a mutual aid society, but as a platform for financial education and collective economics. She traveled tirelessly, encouraging members to save their money, support Black-owned businesses, and reinvest in their own communities. She believed that unity and discipline could overcome the barriers of exclusion. Then, in 1903, Maggie Lena Walker achieved what had never been done before. She founded the St. Luke Penny Savings Bank, becoming the first Black woman to charter and serve as president of a bank in the United States. This achievement was nothing short of revolutionary, especially during a time when women were almost completely excluded from leadership roles in finance, and Black Americans were denied even basic banking services. The bank was created with a clear and powerful mission to serve Black customers fairly and ethically. Walker famously encouraged people to save even the smallest amounts, promoting the radical idea that pennies could be turned into power. She believed that financial habits developed early could transform the destinies of generations. The St. Luke Penny Savings Bank offered savings accounts, home mortgages, and business loans to Black families who had been systematically rejected everywhere else. It helped finance new homes, support Black-owned businesses, and stabilize entire neighborhoods. The bank quickly became a cornerstone of Richmond's thriving Black community, an economic anchor in a sea of discrimination. Walker's influence extended far beyond banking. She also founded the St. Luke Herald, a newspaper dedicated to economic education, racial pride, and political awareness. She helped establish a department store and other enterprises that provided dignified employment opportunities for Black workers shut out of the segregated economy. Despite her incredible success, Walker faced relentless opposition. She lived in a society that marginalized her for being both Black and a woman. She was excluded from white financial networks and was often completely ignored by the mainstream media. Yet she persisted, armed with the belief that building strong institutions was the most effective response to discrimination. One of Walker's most famous statements perfectly captured her philosophy. "Let us put our money together. Let us use our money. Let us control the results of our labor." This powerful idea of collective economic power would later echo throughout the Black empowerment movements of the 20th century. In her later years, Walker's legendary resilience was tested once again. A severe fall left her partially paralyzed, and many expected her to step down from her leadership roles. Instead, she continued to lead her bank and her organizations from a wheelchair, demonstrating an extraordinary and unwavering determination that inspired everyone around her. During the Great Depression, Walker faced her greatest financial challenge as banks collapsed across the nation, threatening to wipe out the savings of millions. She took decisive action to protect her community. She orchestrated a brilliant and strategic merger between the St. Luke Penny Savings Bank and two other Black-owned banks in Richmond. Together, they formed the Consolidated Bank and Trust Company. This decision saved the life savings of thousands of depositors and preserved Black financial infrastructure during a time of total economic disaster. The Consolidated Bank and Trust Company survived the Depression and continues to operate today, making it one of the oldest continuously operating Black-owned banks in the United States. Its survival stands as a powerful testament to Walker's strategic genius and unwavering leadership. Walker was also deeply involved in civil rights advocacy. She supported voting rights, fought for better education, and was active in anti-lynching campaigns. While she is often excluded from mainstream civil rights narratives, her work directly addressed the economic roots of inequality. She understood, perhaps better than anyone, that political freedom without economic power was incomplete. Maggie Lena Walker died on December 10, 1934, but her legacy remains profoundly relevant today. At a time when discussions about the racial wealth gap and financial inclusion dominate our national conversations, her work feels remarkably modern. She built banks in the face of segregation. She taught entire communities how to save when the system was designed to keep them poor. And she proved, beyond any doubt, that a Black woman could lead major financial institutions with unparalleled intelligence and integrity. Despite these monumental achievements, her name remains largely absent from our textbooks. Maggie Lena Walker wasn't ignored because her impact was small. She was ignored because her success challenged America's most fundamental ideas about power, race, and gender. Maggie Lena Walker did more than just break barriers. She built institutions that endured, and in doing so, she changed American finance forever. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as inspiring as we did, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next video.